Good evening, everyone. I probably will sound rather stupid this evening. Big change. But I haven't been very well, and my voice is a bit weird. So sorry about that.
Yeah, I'd just like to help him. I'd like to help him out by making my voice slightly worse than his.
What a week to do this, eh? Good evening and welcome to Have I Got News For You? I'm Jess Phillips. In the news this week, in a bookshop in Dorset, one angry customer can't resist making a few corrections to the biography of Harry and Meghan. Outside a London's hospital maternity ward, there are suspicions that Boris Johnson is using familiar tactics to avoid journalists' questions. And as new working from home directives are introduced, one man tries to deny using a sunbed in between Zoom meetings. On Ian's team tonight, a comedian who dropped out of Bristol University where he was reading Hispanic studies. Oh well, que sera, sera. Please welcome John Richardson. On Paul's team tonight is a lecturer and mathematician who is used to dealing with very large numbers, so she'd have no problem with the guest list for a Downing Street Christmas party. Please welcome Hannah Fry. We begin with the bigger news stories of the week. Ian and John, have a look at this.
Father COVID, that's the Prime Minister's spokesman. Breaking down. Small break, don't be so hard on yourself. I did that joke last week, that's balance. Oh, God, here's the big one. That's a little party badge. So, which bit of the story do you want?
I'll take it all, Ian.
OK, he hasn't resigned. The Prime Minister has attempted to avoid the question. The entire week was there a party, and were you having a party and disobeying the rules, while the rest of us were stupidly obeying the rules and not going into care homes and generally trying to do the right thing while you were having a laugh? And the answer is he won't tell us. And no matter how he does it, he just keeps saying there wasn't a party and all the rules were obeyed. How does that work? Either you had a party or you obeyed the rules, or you're a terrific liar.
Wow.
Which she was. Help me out, John. My voice is going.
Big night partying.
Yeah.
Are you going to call your new voice Boris because it might be gone by Christmas?
Well, you know, the right person has resigned, which was someone who wasn't at the party and doesn't seem to have had a lot to do with it.
That doesn't work at 10 Downing Street anymore.
No, well, we worry for her. You know, she's married to the political editor of The Spectator and her best man at the wedding was Rishi Sunak, so... Oh, I imagine that's her career over. You'll never see her again. But at least she had the decency to cry and show some humanity rather than all the...
I don't know. It was an apology. It was pitiful. It was a classic new apology in which she said, I'm really sorry if this was a distraction. I'm really sorry if we seemed to make light of the suffering of other people. You didn't seem to make light. You did make light. You were having a laugh about what lie.
Obviously, I'm a Labour politician attacking the government over this Christmas party, and this is the BBC. So in the interest of balance, I should make it very clear that even the Tories are attacking the government on this. This is the footage of the mock Downing Street press briefing last year, filmed on the 22nd of December, 4 days after the alleged party had taken place.
I've just seen reports on Twitter that there was a Downing Street Christmas party on Friday night. Do you recognise those reports?
I went home. Hold on.
Would the Prime Minister condone having a Christmas party?
What's the answer?
I don't know. I didn't.
Wasn't a party, it was cheese and wine.
Just be clear, it's not.
Is cheese and wine all right? It was a business meeting.
I'm joking.
This is recorded. This fictional party was a business meeting. And it was not socially distanced.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not great, is it?
Special Advisor Ed Oldfield was also featured in that video, and he's still in the job. And there's been some confusion on social media over exactly who he is. It's definitely not this Ed Oldfield. Just to make something crystal clear tonight, I'm a journalist working in the West Country, not the Special Advisor in Downing Street of the same name who appears in the leaked Christmas party video. To which someone replied, "Any relation to Mike?" To which Ed replied, "I have a brother called Mike. He spent the early part of his adulthood explaining he did not like tubular bells." So why will the Met Police not be investigating the apparent breach of the COVID rules?
They say they haven't got any evidence, but there's loads of CCTV cameras around Downing Street, and so you can see who's going in, what time they go in. So it's be quite easy to do it if you wanted to.
But also, I mean, you say we've got no evidence. How about asking the people who were there? I don't want to tell the police their job. Sometimes that's quite effective.
There's also the idea that Boris and Carrie were upstairs with a new baby while there was a party going on downstairs. Like, when I had a new baby, someone would sneeze 3 doors down and I'd be like, shut up. Just the idea that there's this party going on, I just don't... I mean, obviously...
But they say you relax, sort of, the second child, you worry less. And, you know, Boris is a few on.
Unknown number.
So Allegra Stratton resigned, but what did the leaking of the video force Boris Johnson to do, apart from tell Carrie to push a little harder?
He held a press conference about the new threat of the virus. And he looked very, very serious, and then the other medics came on, and then all the journalists incredibly childishly said, "What about the party then?"
You know, as diversion tactics go, though, it's kind of a bit of a rubbish one. Distract people from the fact that you were breaking restrictions by adding in more restrictions. It's a little bit like trying to distract people from the fact that you've wet yourself by shitting your pants. Just
Would be
holding it.
To be fair, that might work.
I believe they call it a Hancock.
So how were Ant and Dec involved this week?
Yes, they suddenly became very agitated and angry, which was quite something. In the middle of their "I'm a celebrity, what have I done wrong to be here?" They suddenly turned to the camera and, which, of course, nobody knows which is which, but one of them, the one on the right, as you look, did this thing with his eyes like that, sort of, "We're looking at you, Prime Minister, for now." It was suddenly, it was a real sort of, you know, difference from them. It was good.
Can't wait to see their next advert for mortgages. Scathing satirists that they are. Hey, put your money in this bank. We've totally checked it out and it's absolutely legit. Now eat that bollock.
The thing about Ant and Dec is they know a car crash when they see one.
It's funny, isn't it? You can criticise the Prime Minister, but not Ant and Dec.
Right.
It's a funny time we live in, isn't it?
So who else is very cross? You're all very cross. Who else is very cross this week?
Everybody's very cross. I can't... Are you singling one person?
I am singling one person out. Would you like to take a look?
Yes.
They literally look as if they are laughing at us. You, me, all of us.
Very, very cross.
That's not a trailer for this show, is it?
Speaking further on the alleged party, how did Dominic Raab embarrass himself in the interview with Andrew Marr this week?
Oh, was that when he said that the police can't investigate something that's already happened? I mean, we can only think of the Great Train Robbery where they said, well, they've already got the money. What's the point? No point in looking for them. They've gone and done it.
Let's have a little look at Dominic Raab.
The police have been very clear. They'll look at any letter, but they don't normally look back and investigate things that have taken place a year ago. I don't think. I don't think.
Well,
in the absence of some
let's
form
leave
of
retrospective to one side.
Very
That's
good.
a strange thing for the police to say, but let's leave that to one side.
The news that the police don't investigate retrospective crimes is good news, especially for Prince Andrew. Thrilled by that news, I'm sure. No government minister was made available on Wednesday morning to defend Downing Street. Good Morning Britain, however, issued a challenge. What was that?
They had like an empty seat, didn't they?
They did have an empty seat, as did almost all news broadcasters. But Good Morning Britain specifically asked if any Conservative MP, anybody connected to the government is watching, there is a Westminster seat available for a government minister this morning, adding, we'll take anyone. The plea went out at 6:52 a.m. Who turned up half an hour later?
Was it Matt Hancock?
You've got it!
He's the only variant left. isn't he?
Let's have a look at Matt Hancock on his comeback tour.
Do you think there was one rule for you and one rule for the rest of them?
Well, I don't know anything about the party.
Don't you?
I've read
Don't we all know everything about the party now?
Well, I've read the papers,
Yeah.
but I don't know anything else about it. I wasn't invited.
I mean, it took him half an hour at, like, 6 o'clock in the morning. How the hell did Matt Hancock get there so quickly?
This is guarantee Hancock's half hour.
Boom!
It's the look of a man who thinks the next interview is going to be the one where everyone likes me again. And he was proud when they said, you're the only one who turned up. You go, I'm the hardest one. I'm the cool guy.
You know, my experience of Matt Hancock is that he is uninsultable. And I have tried. So, has all been forgiven with Matt Hancock?
By whom?
Have a look at this quite honest appraisal from one woman.
I also find that people have been forgiving too, which I'm grateful for.
Have you forgiven him?
No, not really.
What were the government accused of using as a diversionary tactic to get away from this story?
Plan B.
Plan B it is.
I love the fact they've called it Plan B. It sort of implies everything up until now has been Plan A.
I thought you were talking about Plan Baby,
Oh, well,
which
could
is
have
his
been that
brilliant
now.
plan to
Yeah.
distract all of us.
How has he been having sex this year? I don't want to sort of lay my own marital cards on the table, but I am, you know, and I don't do his job.
He doesn't. Don't worry about it.
Are you implying that the baby was the work of a mysterious Tory donor? His sperm is more transmissible than Omicron. It just must be everywhere. I mean, it's like, it's contact
Don't say it's
ready.
everywhere. I work with the man.
Just, all you have to do is share a butter knife with him and you're pregnant.
You know, when my babies were born, I went and bought a copy of all of the papers so that we could look back at the front pages in years' time and see what was happening that day. Do you reckon Carrie's done the same thing?
So, here's one for you, Hannah. If Omicron cases are doubling every 2.5 days, and there were 568 in total on Wednesday, how many will there be in 2 weeks?
I think fucking loads.
We touched on this last week in Australia, but how did an Italian man this week try to get away with not having his COVID vaccine?
Oh, yes. He didn't agree with it, or he objected to needles, one or the other, and he went in with a false rubber arm.
Yep, that's absolutely right. So he turned up with a fake arm. The man was clocked when the colour of the arm did not match the rest of his skin. Apparently, as he rolled up his sleeve, he muttered, "Would you have imagined that I'd have such a physique?" So, this is the party that those involved are wishing had never happened. The party even included a secret Santa, where lucky recipients got a pair of socks or a scented candle or a massive PPE contract. Also this week, Keir Starmer had his booster jab. The Labour leader got his booster partly to promote the vaccine rollout, but mainly just to piss off another member of the Corbyn family. Paul and Hannah, take a look at this.
Oh, well, that's the storm. There's the woman in a chair so far. I've survived it quite well. Westminster Station. London was covered in snow this week.
White Christmas, I think, at Parliament this year.
There's Boris being arrested at last. Being searched for drugs. Let's see how the dog reacts. Oh, yes, definitely.
I reckon it's sniffing out the lies instead.
And, oh, yes, this is a raid in the house where there was a member of the public who was seen to be impersonating a police officer. And there he is.
Yep, this is the story of the two storms that have battered most of the country, leaving some people without power for 11 days. Some of us have been without power for 11 years. Would you like to see one of the heads of Northern Power Grid explaining why the electricity supply was so fragile in the northeast?
Yes.
Yes.
Please.
As a region, we're probably one of the worst affected from all this. Good news is we're down to the vast majority of those have been... Oh, excuse me.
I don't believe it.
And the dark reveals him to be an alien.
It's
fantastic.
Do you think that this would have been allowed to happen if this had been in London? Do you think down here they'd allow everyone to be without power?
No, well, someone did give a very good explanation of why so many regions were without power, and they said that it's because you insist on living so far away.
Do you want to see some men trying to walk up a slippery street?
Yes, please.
Oh. Are they coming back from a Downing Street party? Oh, hello. He's not going to last much longer. Yep. Oh.
I think walking was a generous description.
On the subject of white powder, where have the police discovered significant traces of it?
In Parliament, they tested loads of places and found tons of cocaine. In 11 of 12 places, wasn't it?
According to The Times, 11 out of 12 regions searched revealed traces of Class A drugs, mainly cocaine.
It's another one of those distraction things. It's like, OK, let's distract away from the fact that everyone in government is taking cocaine by announcing a big crackdown on cocaine.
If you arrest a lot of people who are doing cocaine, that'll bring the price down. So if you're an MP, you can get it cheaper.
I don't know, though. You know, I think maybe we're being unfair. I don't think all of them are on cocaine.
No, I didn't say all of them.
Well, there are other drugs.
No, well, you know...
Some finds have been made near MPs' offices and the offices of the Prime Minister and the Home Secretary. I have to say that the Prime Minister's office, as somebody with some insider information, has a public toilet near it. It could have been anybody.
When you say a public toilet, though, because I tend to use McDonald's, if I knew I could just go and shit next to the Prime Minister's office, presumably you can't just walk in off the street.
If you're willing to go through security, you could definitely go for a wee in the House.
Oh, I'm willing to go through security. I would have a full cavity search to piss next to it.
Have you heard about any of the drug-related incidents that a Westminster insider has been telling The Independent?
Yeah, apparently there's some man shouting, order, order, and everyone says, yeah, I'll have loads.
One Tory woman, she was clearly out of it, returned from the toilet with a globule of cocaine hanging from her nostril. Theresa just doesn't care anymore. So Boris Johnson is a self-confessed cocaine user. In fact, he confessed on this programme. He said, I think I was once given cocaine, but I sneezed, so it didn't go up my nose. It's like the version of I didn't inhale, isn't it? But there's no real way of saying that about cocaine.
I tried mainlining heroin, but it turned out my arm was false.
Anyway, he went on a raid with the drug squad in Liverpool as part of the launch for the government's anti-drugs campaign. Do you want to see him kitted up and ready for action?
Here he goes.
It's like the worst stripper of all time.
What are they shouting? OK, Gove, we know you're in there.
On a cheerier note, does everybody want to see a picture of Rishi Sunak's Christmas card?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to get one in the post.
Is that it?
That is it.
It rather gives the unfortunate impression that someone's hung themselves from a Christmas tree.
God, you are the spirit of Christmas.
Put it in front of me and I'll say what I see.
In other news, who has Keir Starmer publicly badmouthed this week?
Peppa Pig. Really finger on the pulse. Not 3 weeks after Boris Johnson mentioned Peppa Pig World, Starmer's on it.
Did you see Keir Starmer's tweet after Prime Minister's questions where he wrote, Boris Johnson is socially distanced from the truth? I just love the idea of him being like pressing send and being like, zinger, in the office the next day. Did you see what I tweeted? Oh, my God.
Anyone here been to Peppa Pig World?
Don't be stupid.
I've been to Peppa Pig World, mate.
Have you?
Yeah, of course I have. Bloody adrenaline junkie, aren't I?
So this is the news that the after effects of Storm Arwen are still being felt around the country. Meanwhile, commenting on the report that there had been drugs used in the House of Commons, one anonymous source told the Sunday Times, it's relatively common to see people in Parliament messed up and wandering the halls with a glazed look. Well, it's never easy being a Lib Dem. Time now for the odd one out round. Just one between you this week. Emperor Nero, Rod Stewart, Alexander the Great and Henry Ford.
Well, Nero, that's an early Netflix version of Tiger King.
Is Rod Stewart the odd one out because all of the other three knew that they were sexy, but Rod Stewart needed validation?
I'll give you a clue. It's Starship's one and only hit. The only line I can think of from the song is the title, but we built this city.
We built this city on rock and roll. OK, so Henry Ford and Emperor Nero and Alexander the Great never had a hit record.
We built this city?
They all rebuilt a city.
I mean, I basically gave you the answer.
Yeah. Rod Stewart, because he builds little miniature cities around his model railway. So he builds cities, small cities.
It's not
Rod Stewart. OK, the other one out is Henry the Ford. Henry the Ford.
OK, you're going Henry Ford. Well, I'm afraid you're all close with the answer that I gave you by singing a song. The answer is that they've all built a city apart from Emperor Nero, who was accused of destroying the city of Rome.
Oh, yes.
How stupid.
And I prepared for this show by reading all this week's papers.
Very contemporary, yes. Emperor Nero was accused of destroying Rome because he didn't like the aesthetics of the city. Thank God he never went to Luton. Hopping from the Romans to the Greeks again, very contemporary. Why was shopper Chris Marsh disappointed with his recent purchase of this statue of Hercules and Diomedes this week?
It's quite intimate, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll give you a bit of a clue. Go a bit closer to the statue.
I don't think we...
No closer.
No closer. Right, so Chris contacted customer services after discovering the statue was, for want of a better phrase, missing a bollock. How did retailer Wayfair offer to fix the problem?
Send him a bollock through the post.
Chew a bit of chewing gum and stick it on as a replacement bollock at the internet.
I imagine in that position, just sort of go back in a bit.
Well, look, there's only one way of finding this out. Hang on a sec.
I'll be the other guy.
Well, Wayfair offered him a 33% discount, which he accepted. Alexander the Great established the city of Alexandria in Egypt in 331 BC, and motor manufacturer giant Henry Ford built the city of Fordlandia in northern Brazil to house the workers in his factory, just like the Bourneville village in Birmingham. What did Sir Rod Stewart spend 23 years building?
Oh, it's his model railway.
Have you got a picture of it?
We asked Sir Rod if we could use a picture of it.
Yeah.
And he said no.
Oh.
So instead, we've got an artist's impression of it. So they've all built a city apart from Emperor Nero, who was accused of destroying the city of Rome. Car giant Henry Ford introduced better conditions and more holidays for the workers to the approval of the Labour Party, significantly increased workers' pay to the approval of the Labour Party, insisted that black and white workers were paid the same to the approval of the Labour Party, and started up a newspaper as a vehicle for his anti-Semitism. So, moving on. So, time now for the missing words round, and we start with Revolving statue of what criticised in Italy?
Kebab.
The answer is revolving statue of Father Christmas in a tutu, criticised in Italy. Here is the festive statue, which has drawn criticism from some on the Italian right who have deemed it unnatural. The Italian right are angry that the left have appropriated Father Christmas. Oh, come on, guys. Someone dressed in red who gives away loads of stuff for free. Of course, he's a lefty. Next, bomb squad called to A&E after what?
It's difficult to believe this is going to end funny.
Yeah.
No, I know this one. There was a World War II grenade or warhead up somebody's bum.
You've absolutely nailed it.
There's no more delicate way to say that. I'm sorry, don't look at me like that.
Bomb squad called to A&E after patient lodges World War II shell up his rectum.
I'm sorry, I'm not very good at puns, but surely should be bum squad.
Next, what is louder than a trombone in Australia?
2 trombones.
A trombone right next to you.
Yes.
Music from the Downing Street party?
It's world record burp, louder than a trombone in Australia. According to Lad Bible, the record-breaking Australian burp...
Honestly, the quality.
Lad Bible.
Is this a version of the Bible written for lads?
Yeah.
So Jesus said, come on then, if you think you're hard enough.
According to Lad Bible, the record-breaking Australian burper spent 5 years preparing for the event. After his massive burp, police were going to arrest him for noise pollution, but let him off with a pardon. So, the final scores are Ian and John have 4, and Paul and Hannah have 7.
No!
But before we go, there's just time for the caption competition.
Neil Armstrong unhappy with work from home mandate.
On which note, we say thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and John Richardson, Paul Merton and Hannah Fry. And I leave you with the news that on a train just outside Milton Keynes, a woman frantically texts her friends to save her from the most boring Tinder date of her life. After Brian Blessed comes down with a cold, one man regrets standing next to him outside the pharmacy. And after trying to hide her identity with a shadow, Crime Watch producers can't understand how viewers worked out the witness was the Queen. Good night.
It's all going down tonight. We've resurrected The Matrix with Keanu Reeves himself, also in the building, Olivia Colman, Jack Whitehall, Cynthia Erivo, and music by Rag and Bone Man on The Graham Norton Show tonight at 10:35. That's after the news.